on, you got to seize the goddamn gap.
People are so goddamn inefficient. Oh, god damn it! I don't care if you're old, seize the gap!
Do you have any money?
Yeah, it's all right there. I put it all on black.
What? No.
Black wins.
Baby!
Oh, got it. All right, but that was lucky.
Welcome to Seize the Gap Wagers and Bets. I'm Jamie G, Esquire the Fifth, MD, Master of Surgical Arts. He's Magnum Mills, and we're here to help you bulk up on your bankroll, baby. That's right. It's all about the cash money, Magnum Mills.
Yeah, hey, we appreciate you for watching or listening or whatever you're doing. And, we're going to be like the audio video version of Fight Milk. So we're going to help you fight like a crow. Like Jamie G said, bulk that bankroll up there. So again, thanks for listening. Remember, please, follow the podcast if you're listening, or check out our YouTube channel if you're watching. Please like, subscribe, all the good stuff. And before we get into some futures bets, let's take a quick look at how we did with our Super Bowl wagers and prop bets.
I'll go first, and that'll give Magnum Mills a chance to come up with a damn good excuse for how poorly he did. Look, I didn't light the world on fire with my wagers at all. I'm embarrassed to say I went 0 for 3 as the over did not hit. Cooper Kupp did not score the first touchdown of the game, and Matthew Stafford did not win MVP.
Yeah, I'm right there. I also took an over on my wagers. I had the Rams winning, but they did not cover the 4.5 point spread. Cooper scored 2 out of 3 touchdowns. But, Meatloaf might have said 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Here, it was because we had him scoring the first touchdown. He just scored all the rest of them. And Aaron Donald did not win the MVP. But I want to say in my defense, I just found this out. Did you know that they had to submit their ballots for MVP at the 2-minute warning? So basically right after the Cooper Kupp catch. If they had to submit at the end of the game, I think based on what Aaron Donald did on that last drive, there would at least be a small chance that maybe he would have gotten there on the MVP. I'm just saying.
Look, I could see collecting the votes at the 2-minute warning in a blowout, right? But not when the game's on the line and the shit, it matters. Like this just absolutely, I could just go on and on about how much this pisses me off. I will end it there, but I just think this was really stupid, really ridiculous, and it needs to change going forward. And I do opine on this fine jury of people. Now, while I did poorly on my wagers, Magnum Mills, your boy came through on the prop bets just a little bit, going 4 and 1. That's a passing grade. He's a mathematician. You can ask him. But my only miss was the final play not being a kneel down. Son of a bitch. That's just the way it worked out where they took a knee. I did nail the coin flip. My first place being a run, the Rams being the first team to score 10 points, and that there would not be, unfortunately, a big man touchdown.
Yeah, we were denied the big man touchdown dance, which again would have also maybe had they got the ball on the 1 yard line. If they just handed off to Aaron Donald, not saying he would have been the MVP, but it would have taken 1 touchdown away from Cooper Kupp, giving him 1. Just saying. Anyway, I'm bullshitting because I did bad. Yep. Yeah, not great here. So, anyways, whatever. I went 2 and 3, so 1, 2, lost 3 out of the 5. Nailed the over on the national anthem, felt great about that one, and the over on 6.5 total punts, also felt very good about that one. Unfortunately, lost on the jersey number, the first touchdown score being over 9.5. Again, Cooper Kupp scored 2, but in this way, it fucked me. And yep, so still, Cooper Kupp scored 2 touchdowns, none of which did anything for me, apparently. So, yep, I had the over 9.5 on the jersey number. Back got it. He is under. And I lost that the longest field goal would be over 47.5 yards. Had 3 field goals. They were all made, but they didn't let shooter shoot a shot because the Bengals couldn't fucking cross the 50-yard line after halftime. So, yeah, and then I lost with the under 2.5 players to attempt to pass. But hey, at least Joe Mixon did throw a touchdown pass. It wasn't some bullshit fake punt or throw it away. Like it was actually a play that worked for a touchdown. So even though I lost it, don't feel too bad about that one. Cool play to watch.
It definitely was, Magnum Mills. And man, overall, I think this was a pretty entertaining Super Bowl for prop bets and wagering in general. The Super Bowl, the way it played out, it wasn't necessarily what we thought, but it led to a lot of exciting shit, and it's just fun, man. And Magnum Mills, anything on the halftime show, like, I mean, this was, I don't know, for us, this was probably a little bit of nostalgia, right? Like yeah, when Paul McCartney played, it was cool, and it was a little nostalgia because I remember my parents listening to the Beatles and Paul McCartney during their generation. Don't get me wrong, I like the Beatles and Paul McCartney's fine, but this was a little bit about like our generation, dude. Like, and this was pretty cool to see, man. I thought they tried to do a tad too much and get too many cooks in the kitchen, but overall I enjoyed it.
Yeah, again, I think they've just become a little bit too big of a spectacle again. It's just, there's so many things going on. I'm honestly more interested in when they put out like a behind the scenes making of documentary or whatever, just to see how the hell they pulled all this off. I think that'll be more fascinating. I'm ready for like that. Put the 5-part series up on HBO Max or something. I will check that out. That's always amazing to see how they build these complex sets up and down, all the choreography. There are thousands of people that go into doing this. So I appreciate it for being a real spectacle and work of art or whatever. But yeah, it's they don't really need to do it all. But I watched the whole thing, so it worked, I guess, from the NFL standpoint. That's what they're going for, I guess.
That is what they're going for. I mean, and there is something peaceful and somewhat serene about watching Snoop Dogg crip walk. Like, it's just kind of a real peaceful thing, and just, I don't know, man, it brings calmness and happiness to my life. Like, it's a special thing. It was nice. But anyways, all right.
I mean, it's like, yeah, describe what Snoop Dogg was wearing. It's like, well, someone took a Rams jersey and a crip bandana, made it into a rug, and then Snoop Dogg rolled himself up in the rug. Like, all right, that's all right.
Dude, honestly, that's the best thing that you could come up with. I mean, it was
it was great. I'm not hating it all. I enjoyed the whole thing. Even I would have liked to see like how much them betting money on how many sit-ups Vinny could have done, but whatever.
Could he get like, what would the over
2.5?
2.5.
Someone got to be holding like carrots, but instead you're holding like 100K in cash above them. Like, come on, Vinny. Pretend like it's 2004. Pretend like it's 2004.
Yeah, homie was ripped back in the day. But anyways, all right. Enough of the 2020.
We digress.
Yeah, we digress. Enough of this 2021 season bullshit. I think it's time, Magnum Mills, to move on to the 2022 season bullshit. Good sir.
Yeah, and you would say over there you probably got a little bullshit stuck in your teeth there, man. So shout out Darlene and Ozark. If you haven't watched Ozark, watch that. Listen to our podcast. Just look for Ozark podcast on your favorite podcast joint. And we did that. It's over. Rip the Band-Aid off now. It's time for that 2022 bullshit, like you said. And let's take a look at some NFL futures bets here. We're just going to look at right now the DraftKings Sportsbook odds for the Super Bowl champion next season. Of course, it's way too early, so we got to do a prediction because this is what you do these days. So, Jamie G, just before we even look at the odds or value picks or anything, just who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl next year? It's fair to pick the Bills. They're not, way out of it or whatever, but maybe try to give me at least one more option in addition to the Bills.
Absolutely taking the Bills. Outside of the Bills, and I will tell you why. It's not just my fanhood. Okay, I will tell you why momentarily. Outside of the Bills and the AFC, I think it's going to come down to either the Bills or the Kansas City Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are really going to be focused next year, even more so. There's no Super Bowl hangover like there was last year. Now, they have showed a propensity over the last 2 seasons to really not be able to get it up until it matters, but they've also, playoffs or season down the line or whatever, but they've also shown an ability to turn it on and get hot. I expect them to be better next year than they were this year. And I expect them to seriously compete for a chance to go to the Super Bowl. So I like the Chiefs. I think they're still going to be very good next year. And I just think they're going to improve in the offseason. You look at them, they still have their core for at least 1, maybe 2 more years in terms of the big 3 with Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. And I think they add to it a little bit. They maybe get a better run game this year. I just think they're gonna be there, and it's gonna come down to either them or the Bills.
That's pretty fair. When you look at the odds on the board, that makes sense. And I'm right there with you, especially in the AFC. Again, I felt that they were the best 2 teams, and they kind of beat up on each other, which left whoever won that game a little bit vulnerable. It looks like the Bengals clearly got the easier draw with the Raiders and Titans, who again not bad teams, just not on the level of the Bills or Chiefs. And I think both are in. I like their upcoming schedules for next year. they're as good as you could really hope, considering they finished first in the division, so the matchups are a little bit tougher. And the fact that both should be okay from a salary cap standpoint. Both have pretty much all of their draft capital in hand, as opposed to a team, like the Saints that are massively over, a team like the Rams that can create some cap room, but have basically no draft capital in the first, 100 picks for the upcoming couple of drafts here. Yeah, it kind of is what it is a little bit. We're getting down to it. Outside of that, Green Bay, again, right now it sounds like they're going to try to pay Aaron Rodgers, franchise or re-sign Devontae Adams, basically run it back. Pretty weak division. If they run it back, if Rodgers is healthy, they're going to win that division. Probably going to have a good shot at the number 1 seed. But I mean, really, we're approaching like those Andy Reid Eagles times. Like, is this going to be the year then they finally win the playoff games that they need to? Yeah. It's at this point, it's going to become like a real legitimate monkey on Rodgers' back, especially if they do make him the highest paid player in the NFL and give him what he wants. Basically, he's all out of excuses then. And then just the other team on the NFC side, I would probably look at is San Francisco, a little bit Jekyll and Hyde, but if Trey Lance really does take the leap, the 49ers have a very nice schedule, and they basically can run back the team they had this year. And in theory, if they have an upgraded quarterback situation, everybody healthy, again, everybody wants everyone to be healthy, but I think the 49ers could be pretty dangerous, especially if the Rams have a bit of a Super Bowl hangover.
Yeah, and Magnum, I would be remiss if I didn't just mention a little bit about my Buffalo Bills here, okay? I mean, I think it's important to mention that while they did lose Brian Dable, I really like the promotion of Ken Dorsey, the quarterback coach who came on 2 years ago and really helped get Josh Allen to the place he is today, certainly played a role, takes over as offensive coordinator. They bring in Joe Brady, who was, highly touted as quarterback coach. I really like what they've done here. And it's young, good minds that are going to help a player who's entering his prime. I think Josh Allen is a man on possessed right now. The way he finished that season and his playoff run, I can't remember watching a playoff run that strong by a quarterback where it was like single-handedly, like this dude is the guy, like in a minute, dude. I know it was only 2 games, but it was an epic fucking 2 games. And so I really like where this team is headed. Again, they keep their defense intact, bunch of core players. Do they have problems? Sure. Do they need to improve places? Yes. But I think you look at them and you say, okay, even though New England improved, I think the Bills will win the AFC East. I think they'll get a home playoff game. And I think they learned the value this year of not falling short and losing games you're supposed to win, i.e. Jacksonville, because really that game cost them the number 1 seed. And so it's important to realize, like, look, man, that's important. You win one or 2 games and you're supposed to win, you get home field throughout. And I think they beat Kansas City if that game takes place in Buffalo. So I think the Bills are in a really good position. Again, stability at ownership, stability at coaching staff, stability at quarterback, playing at a very high level. This is a team that can absolutely get there, and they want it. This is a team that wants it.
That's what she said. Like, you could just do one guy at a time, maybe 9 in a row, but you don't have to.
I'm all fired up from doing 9 guys in a row. But all right, Magnum Mills, look, do I need to make a disclaimer about you picking the Eagles here? I mean, are those first 3-round picks, are they going to pay off right away, Magnum Mills? How excited are you for your Philadelphia Eagles?
Yeah, I mean, you can't. I pretty much gave my picks already. I don't think that the Eagles, short of getting into that Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson kind of quarterback exchange, if that happens, maybe they have a chance. Look, dude, there's a good chance that this is going to be the 3rd year in a row where we draft a wide receiver in the 1st round. The only other team I can think of that ever did that was the Detroit Lions. And I think they had 1 Calvin Johnson and 2 very, very bads. And with the year before that, we took JJ, I think, a Whiteside with a high 2nd round pick. So maybe we should just quit trying to develop like the Patriots. They can't develop wide receivers. They should just stop. Maybe it's not wide receivers, but just go sign some guys and just admit that whatever you're doing is wrong and, you're bad at it and you should feel bad. So let's go.
It should feel very bad.
Yeah, that's the full Zoidberg here. Let's, get more into some value plays here. We talked overall. Yeah, it's great. Saying the Chiefs and Bills will win the Super Bowl. Yeah, you can bet on them if you want. They're plus 750 on the DK Sportsbook. That's 100 to win 750. that's fine, but that's not really a lot of value there. So I'm, if I had to pick one, I would take the Bills. I like the way their schedule sets up a little bit better. I think they're a little bit deeper than the Chiefs and then a little bit better of a salary cap situation. For the medium teams, as I brought up before, you have the San Francisco 49ers. They're plus 1,400. Right now that's tied for the third best odds on the board. So it's not crazy, but they're based, they have the same odds as the Cowboys and the Bengals right there in that third tier. I think I prefer them of that group. I don't trust the Cowboys. And again, the Bengals here, it's been pretty rough for the team that loses the Super Bowl. They have a lot to do on that offensive line because Joe Burrow got absolutely hammered and not in a good way this season. I'm also pretty fond of the Ravens. They had a ton of injuries this year, plus 2,000, solid number there. Again, all they really have to do is get healthy. And if they sign Lamar Jackson to an extension, they can control his cap number. They still possess all their draft capital. They're in a good spot going forward. And I'll give you one more kind of here at this medium tier. Circle back to you, then I'll do the long odds after that. And I got to go with the Chargers here. They really hit on Rashawn Slater. They have that legit left tackle now to go with their franchise quarterback in Justin Herbert. They got Joey Bosa on the defense. They got Derwin James back there. They have blue chip players. I think they need one more year to bring in some more players to surround these guys, pad out their depth, maybe address the wide receiver position. I'd say bring back Mike Williams, franchise him if you have to. Still add someone there. I do like Josh Palmer. Tight ends, it's a good year for that. Maybe they're out there taking a flyer on an Evan Ingram, a David Njoku, OJ Howard, one of the younger guys who hasn't popped yet, maybe a Dalton Schultz, something like that. And, probably try to, again, shore up that run defense. Seems like we talk about every year, but it's hard to deny, the Chargers could be a play, especially if something ever did happen when the Chiefs fell off a little bit there.
100%, man. And I mean, and they've got the quarterback position figured out. And so that gives them a chance. Like that's what it is. Year two in that system, you got to like them. For me, Magnum Mills, obviously my clear cut favorite, and this may surprise some folks out in the world, but Jamie G. Esquire the fifth never told a lie. And I am going with my absolute favorite is my Buffalo Bills. And for all the same reason Magnum Mills, talked about and so eloquently put, I agree. And I just think this is a team that they took a loss, bro, where it was something. And it's almost like that second half of the Tampa game last year on steroids. And I think this team comes in on an absolute mission, fired up like never before. And I'm excited to see it. My odds on favorite is my Buffalo Bills. Now, let's move on to that second tier kind of medium odds, Magnum Mills. I am all in on the Baltimore Ravens here. I agree with you 100%. I think they get healthy. They're getting a ton of talent back at the running back position. Remember, a lot of those injuries suffered in training camp or at the beginning of the season. I mean, shit, they had three ACLs, Magnum Mills, in one practice. I mean, so they are going to get healthy. A lot of talent is on that team that did not play this year. I think they're going to surprise some people in what's a relatively, weak division. I mean, Cleveland is very hot and cold. Pittsburgh absolutely needs a quarterback. And, yes, Cincinnati just came out of the Super Bowl, but I like where Baltimore is heading into the offseason. What about long odds, Magnum Mills?
I mean, it's one of those things, right? It's NFL. It's worst to first or whatever. When you really kind of dumps or dive at the bottom of the board, I can pretty much cross off Atlanta, Carolina, the Bears, the Giants, the Lions, the Jaguars, the Jets, the Texans. Sorry. So I will go right above them, though, and I'll go with first the Pittsburgh Steelers. They still have a lot of good things there. They have excellent management, coaching, structure, culture, all that good stuff. Very solid defense still. I mean, TJ Watt, reigning defensive player of the year. Solid wide receivers. Najee Harris is fine. Their offensive line was better than I thought last year. Still needs work. The key is a quarterback. All I know is the Steelers, they did it with Ben Roethlisberger. Maybe they can find a guy in this year's class. Maybe they rehab Dwayne Haskins. All I can say is I don't know that they're going to be that much worse with, say, Mason Rudolph than they were with Ben Roethlisberger. If they kind of stay healthy, there's a chance that almost anybody gives them more than Ben Roethlisberger, at least because that quarterback could be willing to attack the defense at all levels, whereas defenses really could just ignore certain routes because Roethlisberger wasn't going to throw them. So I think that's one, you hate to say it about a future first ballot Hall of Famer that it's addition by subtraction, but I think there is a little bit of that there. And then the other one here for me is the Washington Commanders. Similar deal. They have a pretty ready-made squad. I love the running back situation. Antonio Gibson can be a star. Wide receiver, again, Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, Logan Thomas will be back at tight end. Good offensive line, very good defense, outstanding front seven. Ron Rivera, good coach. Again, ownership. They're maybe getting rid of Daniel Snyder even. I mean, that would be a Christmas miracle. And it does seem that they're going to be aggressive. I could see them moving that, 11 pick. Maybe they're not going to get into the Aaron Rodgers conversation, but maybe they're onto a Jimmy Garoppolo, a Kirk Cousins, someone of that nature. I like Heineke, but it does seem that he's best suited to kind of be a backup. Maybe he can kind of grow into that Fitzpatrick role over the years, but I think they have to go another way there. But if they do hit a quarterback, I think that NFC East is there for the taking. And you saw this year, man, with the one bye, with the playoff structure, now you want to get in the tournament and just try to, whenever, sounds stupid, but just win whoever they put in front of you every week and hope it all falls right for you.
I could see a world, man. It'd be a crazy place where I live. I mean, the best thing that could happen to the Commanders franchise is Dan Snyder selling the team. No diggity, no doubt. Magnum Mills long odds for me, dude. I'm throwing it out there, man. And that's the Las Vegas Raiders with or without Derek Carr. I'm very curious to see what happens here. I know what you're thinking. Okay. Yeah, they shit can Mike Mayock. They shit, we know what happened with Gruden. I'm excited to see Josh McDaniels getting his second chance at love. This is the guy that got married. It ended in divorce, death of a baby. He lost his dog. I mean, he went all in on Tebow and it screwed him majorly. And his whole tenure as a head coach of Denver was remembered as one play in a playoff game, a miracle play by Tebow. That's it. I mean, he really swung and a miss there. I'm really excited what he does. I think he learned a lot going back to New England, winning a Super Bowl, competing, being, essentially running the offense. I'm excited about this, bro. I think they're a team that played hard down the stretch and they've got enough, they've got talent. Let's see what they can do to add to it this year. And we'll see if they keep Derek Carr or not, but they're my long shot here. And then I'll throw one other crazy one out here. If the Carolina Panthers acquire the Watson, the Russell Wilson, depending on their upgrade at quarterback, they can win that division and they could possibly compete for a first round bye. I think they got an easy schedule. Their division is super soft with the Saints. The Bucks no longer have Brady. I mean, Atlanta's a mess. That is prime for the taking. And that gives them a home field playoff game. Look out if they get somebody at quarterback.
I would say that I agree with that. In Carolina, again, a lot of the young talent on defense, good skilled position guys there. But they also, their offensive line was really bad last year. So they have to find the quarterback and fix the offensive line in the same season. Not impossible. A big lift, though. Before that, the Raiders, just out of curiosity, would you give me any odds on that opening day for the Los Angeles Raiders? The starting quarterback is Tom Brady. I mean, they got McDaniels there now. There's more reports that Brady's ex-teammates are not convinced he really wanted to retire. What if this is just a power play and he wants to go somewhere else now? Just like be the first. Now he's going to go win with 3 teams.
I mean, I'll give you 1 to 100. Like if you'll take it.
That's but yeah, no, I'm not going to. But that's probably in the wheelhouse. And
I like the story. I like the possibility, but that's
you can even see that you can even make the trade pretty happen. It's like, all right, here's well, I guess they don't even have to do it for Gronk, but like, all right, here's Waller and Carr for Brady. I mean, how could the Bucs say no?
Yeah, no, they'd be stupid not to.
Yeah,
that's a good deal for the Bucs. That's a good deal for the Bucs.
And then what's messed up too. Before we're gonna move on here, but I cannot believe that they played after the wild card round. There were 7 NFL games in the divisional round, the conference championship, and the Super Bowl. The Bills lost by twice as much as every other team. Every other team except the Bills lost by exactly 3 points. So you got killed, dude. You got murdered compared to every other team.
On that one
every
touchdown
other team, dude. Just they only lost by 3, man. You lost by twice as much.
Yeah. It's a tragedy. Should have never happened.
How nuts is that all those games were decided by exactly 3 points?
Dude, what's crazy is had had the Bills scored that last touchdown and then held the Chiefs out of the end zone, they would have also won by 3 points. That's what's so crazy.
Telling you, the
about
fix
it
was in and somebody went against it. It was all set up. It was going to be this magical thing, and
somebody out there
somebody
deserves
didn't
to
get the memo.
Yep. Well, it's a costly mistake. They better hope I don't find them. Jamie G. Esquire the fifth, have him in there. I'll run circles
I
around
would
you in
say
the damn court of law.
we talked about this a little bit, but right before we kind of move on here, is there any one team that you think, let's fuck injuries, because that's not real. I don't want to be like, oh, X will fall off if their quarterback, suffers a big injury. I'm just saying, say there was a big offseason move. Do you think there's any team here that could see their odds significantly improve if they did manage to land their quarterback? Like you talked about at Carolina being a perfect example. I think we've kind of covered most of them. Is there a team that we didn't talk about that could be in the quarterback derby that could get a bump that we didn't mention?
I think there's two. And I think that's one is Denver, right? If Denver somehow can lure Aaron Rodgers there with Nathaniel Hackett as her new head coach, there is so much talent. I remember, right here on Season Gap Fantasy Football, we talked about all season long. God, there's so much talent. There's not enough footballs to feed the likes of Tim Patrick, and there's so much talent on that offense. There's two good running backs, three good wide receivers, a really good tight end. Like if Aaron Rodgers somehow gets there with their defense, and I think that's a team that could absolutely be on the rise. And then last but not least, a team that would give a lot of competition to the Buffalo Bills is Miami. If Miami somehow lands Deshaun Watson or Russell Wilson, that could be something as well. Those would be incredible matchups. As a fan, I look forward to it, but that's a team that could potentially compete, absolutely be in the position for a wild card, if not compete for that division. It could make some noise in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I think the other one you probably have to throw in there, just we didn't mention at all, is Cleveland.
Yeah.
Maybe Baker bounces back, but at this point, you have to wonder if they really wouldn't be better off with just a Jimmy Garoppolo or Kirk Cousins type. I think that's probably the pool they're swimming in. I don't think they're going to be able, once upon a time, way back in the day, they supposedly talked with Seattle about Russell Wilson. I just don't see him. He strikes me as wanting to go to either a franchise that's ready to win or go to New York or LA or something like that.
A big market. Yeah. He wants to go to a big market.
I don't think that's really in the cards for him to go to Cleveland. Fuck it, dude. The NBA trade deadline just passed, and I have many things to say about James Harden and Ben Simmons, but we're going to save that for something else. So I just kind of wanted to same thing here. Just look at NBA Finals futures here after the trade deadline and just see if you're really feeling anybody at all. One team that I don't, I want to go a little bit more value plays. I don't want to go to the top of the board and just pick. I would say overall, before we up into it, I'm kind of still leaning towards the Warriors Bucks final. Jamie, do you got any finals prediction before we look at the odds?
I really like the Warriors to win it all. I really do. There's a couple other teams that we'll talk about that I think could be in there and could be dangerous. But I really like the Warriors.
They are in an interesting spot because their big additions have been, they got Klay Thompson back. Now hopefully you're going to get Draymond Green healthy, and then you're starting to get some of these Wiseman starting to practice again. They have all of these highly drafted, very talented, raw rookies. They've done a good job of integrating guys like Jordan Poole, kind of eking the last few jobs out of Iguodala. Gary Payton, been fucking great. They've done a lot of things really well here. It just kind of, it's been a minute since they put it all together in the playoffs and stayed healthy. Steph has been a little bit slower lately. Does scare me a bit, but Klay Thompson's been also ramping up quite nicely. Really looks like he's going to come back pretty close to full strength, which was not a given after those two major injuries. So if I'm getting into somebody at the top of the pops there, I'm probably going with the Warriors. And the Bucks are just kind of being slept on. They're just for a defending champ. They're kind of going under the radar. Nothing sexy about them at all. That East, just the path to them to get to the finals through the East could be a dogfight depending on where they fall. But, again, it's like Giannis is playing like, oh, he's like third in the MVP voting right now or whatever. And it's kind of like, and they played without Brook Lopez all year. So,
yeah. And dude, the one thing I will add with the Warriors, not only did they add all that young talent, they kept their core three together. They kept their big three together. and it's just been a variety of injuries and season ending shit with members of that big three. But I mean, they have Draymond, Clay, and Steph together. That's the same magic that made them unstoppable and win their, become kind of a little mini dynasty that they were, I don't know, what was it, 5 or 6 years ago now. So I'm looking at them. But Magnum Mills, as we move down a little bit, I want to just get your thoughts on obviously your 76ers. You may not want to talk about them because you don't want to jinx it, but talk to me a little bit about the Suns. And is there any hope for a late run, just LeBron magic with the Lakers, or is that just experiment falling apart completely?
Yeah, I'm out on the Lakers. And again, the Lakers are always a number that's always a little bit off from what it should be because they get so much public action. Even here, they're just in trouble, man. They traded away all their depth for Russell Westbrook, and the idea that, and they haven't hit on these mid-price guys. Malik Monk's been okay. Melo's actually been pretty damn solid. Outside of that, they're getting basically replacement level shit from the guys that playing replacement level money too. Can't say it's a super surprise there. And as far as the Sixers go, you can't say anything until you see Harden and Embiid play together for at least 10 games. So I'm reserving judgment until then. I will say right now, I think from a make yourself better this year standpoint, I might take the Nets out of this deal because they really needed what they're going to get for Steph Curry to replace Joe Harris. And Andre Drummond brings them a little bit more of the offensive game that they got from the 5 position that they got from Blake Griffin last year. Again, he wants to go out there and try to shoot threes, but he's still, again, when he needs to be, he's a solid, just old school, points and rebounds. Doesn't get, he's not quite the rim defender you'd like for a guy his size, but he, again, when you want to diversify your offense a little bit, he's solid enough guy and has developed into a guy who's pretty good locker room guy that has been useful the past couple of years, even though once upon a time, not that long ago, he was a max salary guy.
Yeah, no, Magnum Mills, definitely fun to talk about a little NBA, man. Maybe we should do a little bit more of this.
Yeah. So let's kind of move I want to go down a little bit more typically, but the one team that's stand out a little bit to me here is the Miami Heat plus 1,200. This is another team that really hasn't played together all year, whether it's been Jimmy, whether it's been Bam. They haven't all been out there at the same time. There's a lot of good stuff there, a lot of good depth. Maybe they get something out of Victor Oladipo even, and you don't want to, again, in the playoffs, they're going to struggle on offense a little bit. That's what they brought Kyle Lowry in for, to be that other guy, to be that creator they need. But still, in the playoffs, they can do the grit and grind thing. It's just, can they get the buckets when they need to? Jimmy's not afraid. Jimmy will take the shots. It just, they're kind of, at one point, they could be playing 3 non-shooters. They're kind of a little bit like the Spurs a few years ago. They're playing a style that really isn't in vogue in the NBA. And you can really only do it if you have the team that the Heat have and the culture that they have to really, just, the closest thing we have to an old school team in the league anymore, really.
Yeah, you got to like them. Magnum Mills, just real quick before we move on, any chance that you're sniffing around the Dallas Mavericks at plus 4,000? I mean, is there a little bit of excitement there maybe?
Yeah, and it's the weird kind of addition by subtraction thing with Porzingis a little bit. I'm not jumping up and down about Spencer Dinwiddie or Bertans, but these are both guys that can help in theory, especially Bertans stretch the floor. Dinwiddie can kind of give them some of the empty points they're losing from Tim Hardaway Jr., but probably going to be zeroed on the defensive end. But they've been just as good without Porzingis is with him. They basically split his contract into 2 small contracts. Yeah. If this is what they were doing, I'm kind of surprised there wasn't a little bit better of a salary dump out there. The fact that there wasn't should tell you all you kind of need to know about the way Porzingis is valued right now. Luka, you get him into the playoffs after watching him go toe to toe in those Clippers series a bit. You do not want to fuck with that man in the playoffs, dude. So, and I think they can get there with this team. And I think now they've just, instead of trying to make it work with 2 guys, they're just going to custom build it to Luka. They're going to make this car like no one else can drive it. If anything happens to him, they're fooked. But I mean, let's be honest, even if they had Porzingis, if something happened to Luka, they're fucked anyway. So I think this is probably the move. If it wasn't working, admit that you made a bad trade with the Knicks. You took a swing for the fences. You missed. You got out of it. I mean, look at like John Wall and Russell Westbrook right now. I mean, this is all things considered, the Mavs didn't destroy themselves on this one. At the end of the day, they still have Luka.
100.
Yeah, I like that plus 4. I do like that though. I do like that number.
That one jumped off the board to me a little bit, man.
That was next
Look,
on my
dude,
list.
this was fun, man. We got to talk a little NBA, a little more often, and I think we will. Magnum Mills, just for the record though, who you going with that on that NBA MVP?
Oof, in the MVP right now, it's definitely Embiid right now. I will say that, but he has to keep playing. But his number reflects that. I think he's plus 150, plus 175, where you're looking. Joker's up there still. Got to give it up for him again, grinding away on a Denver team with a ton of injuries themselves. Obviously, John is still doing his thing. And I do, for the record, I fucking hate them. But the Celtics at plus 4,000, there's another team that's been playing a lot better lately. I like their trade for Lonnie Walker a lot. The Memphis Grizzlies plus 2,500. Dude, Ja Morant's for real. That is a deep team. They're long, they're athletic, they play good defense, they're switchable, they can shoot. They might need another little bit more seasoning on the soup there, but no one is going to want to play Memphis in the fucking playoffs. I can tell you that right now. And the longest shot I take on the board right now is the Clippers plus 6,000. And it's basically because they're hanging in there. They trade for Norman Powell, just lost his ass. They've been hit as hard with injuries as anybody, but they're still kind of treading water. And if they can make it long enough, it's conceivable. Again, you're going to have to probably win one round, but maybe you get Paul George back. Win another round, maybe you can get Kawhi back. You can't get that kind of, if they were to have those players and make it far enough, their number would skyrocket, even if you knew they were going to get one of them back. So I think they probably have the most upside of any of the teams that are priced below, say, that plus 4,000-5,000 range on the board.
Who knows, Magnum Mills? After doing this NBA segment, dude, maybe we'll even talk about the WNBA. Well, probably not, but shit, man, you never know, dude. The WNBA is also a very good sport. That's why you'll need to stay tuned and make sure that you're following Seize the Gap just to see how the fuck we're going to make you money next. Because don't worry, we're always thinking, how can we make you profit? How can we get capital in your pocket? Well, how are we going to do it? Let's break down key wagers, just like we did tonight on Seize the Gap.
Thanks, y'all, for watching. We have fun doing this. Hopefully you're having fun listening, watching, whatever. If you could, please just, like, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. To find the podcast, or search for Seize the Gap or Seize the Gap Fantasy on your favorite podcast streaming platform. Find us on social media at Seize the Gap FF. We're from the Joe Blow Football Show. Find us at joeblowfootballshow.com and on social media at Joe Blow Show. We podcast about shows and stuff too. We cover It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia on our podcast, Nightbot Cometh, and we've been covering the latest season 4, part 1 of Ozark from Netflix at the Ozark Podcast. Find all those on your favorite podcast streaming platform. I'm Magnum Mills. He's Jamie G. This has been Seize the Gap, Wagers and Bets. And remember, you need to seize that gap and stop being so inefficient.
And I don't care if you're old. Seize the Gap.
Okay, for old.
This has been the Seize the Gap Wagers and Bets podcast, presented by the Joe Blow Football Show. This show is for entertainment purposes only. Any views or opinions expressed here are personal and do not represent those of people, institutions, or organizations who may or may not be associated with the Joe Blow Football Show. If you have any questions, please contact us at seizethegapff@gmail.com. Thank you for listening. Please remember to like, subscribe, and comment.